Hey guys, hope you and the families are doing well. In this short video, I'm going to teach you one of my favorite momentum-based swing trading setups after a stock has had a powerful earnings gap up. I'll take you through my trade on Reddit so I can teach you exactly where I'm targeting the position, where I'm placing my initial stop loss, and then how I manage the position afterwards. Market Surge are today's video sponsor. If you're interested in a discounted trial, then you'll find a link to that in the description and the comment section below. So we've got Reddit loaded up on the Market Surge chart. So I'll begin this video by outlining the trade itself in terms of where was my entry, where was the placement of the initial stop loss. Then as the video progresses, I'll give you more details so you start to understand more about the setup. And hopefully by the end, you'll realize, wow, this setup isn't rocket science. It's actually pretty straightforward. So in terms of the trade, I'm taking the entry on the 19th of November at a price of $131.17. That was following the inside bar on the 10-day EMA, which is the pink line, magenta line that you see running through here on the 18th of November. So it forms an inside bar on the 18th of November. This is going to be pretty key, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on. And then I'm taking it through the high of the inside bar, so targeting it on the 19th of November, an entry price at 131.17. Now the placement of the initial stop loss for me goes 1 cent below the low of the inside day on the 18th of November. So I'm targeting it through the high of the inside bar, stop loss a cent below the low of the inside bar. Okay, so this is really important for controlling the risk. I like to look for inside bars following big earnings gap ups around the 10-day EMA, which is this pink magenta line, or the 21-day EMA, which is going to be this green line that you see here. So inside bars, and then I'm targeting it through the high of the inside bar, stop loss underneath the low of the day, invariably by a single cent. To do that, I will often use a buy stop limit order, or you could look to do an opening range breakout. You could look to do a market order if you're just looking at it as well. But for Reddit here, I used a buy stop limit order. Now the reason that I like using buy stop limit orders is I can set the limit range for the maximum amount that I'm willing to pay for any shares. So that then helps me ahead of time determine the risk. So I really like looking for inside days because it can help create that much more asymmetric risk versus reward trade, i.e. risking a minimal amount relative to the potential reward of the position. Also, a principle of inside days leads on from Toby Crabell's work. There's a couple of videos on the channel about billionaire hedge fund manager Toby Crabell, and his statement is from periods of contraction come expansion. That is what he found in his work. So from periods of contraction, such as tight inside days, comes expansion. This is the Minervini volatility contraction pattern point. So I like these periods of contraction as shown by inside days. But a key here as well with Reddit. So let's start going into the actual earnings itself. Not all earnings reactions are the same. So there's a couple of keys here with Reddit that I thought were really important. Reddit is a relatively new IPO. So IPOs over here earlier this year in 2024. Now the IPO itself builds this pretty sizable base here. Okay, it's just kind of drifting sideways, a bit up, bit down, but it's building a sizable base. Now the earnings gap up takes it out of that base and into all-time high territory. So think about this. Anyone who had bought previously on this earnings gap up has a winning position. They are positive. They are up on the position. They're feeling good. This is blue sky. There's no overhead resistance overhanging the stock. So an earnings gap up on a relatively new IPO into all-time high territory. Now that's going to get my attention. But what happens if it's an earnings gap up and just a big fade and it gets sold into? That's not the case with Reddit. It gaps up and there's a very strong close on the day here. And look at the high relative volume coming through as well. So there's very high relative volume with a very bullish daily candlestick on the earnings gap up itself. Okay, liking that, and we're in all-time high territory now for Reddit. Now I also like to look at the figures on the earnings itself. So if you take a look here, year over year, Reddit's earnings are up 420%. The sales year over year are up 68%. The sales have gone from 207 million to 348 million, and there's also an acceleration in the after-tax margins as well. Okay, this is looking pretty interesting. Was there also a beat on the earnings? So if we do this here, there's an earnings surprise of 320%. You see that there? Just there, 320%. So not only is this a relatively new IPO, not only is it gapping up on the earnings into all-time high territory, there's an earnings surprise of 320%. The earnings year over year are up 420%. The sales are up 68%. There's an acceleration in the margins, and you can see the company has gone from losing money to now expected to make money in 2025, and that's going to be up 116% year over year, and this little green arrow means forward guidance has been raised. Now this is looking very, very interesting indeed. Now there's earnings gap ups, ORBs that I teach on my platform as well, but we've read it here for this specific setup. Following a really positive earnings reaction, the setup here is then looking for a very tight bar. Oftentimes that can be an inside bar around one or more key daily moving averages. Now most commonly they are going to be the 10-day EMA or the 21-day EMA. Okay, so 10-day EMA or the 21-day EMA in these momentum leader type stocks, these true market leader type stocks like Reddit could turn into be. So then I'm looking for, okay, I'm aware of this big earnings gap up coming through in here. Sometimes I'll trade the earnings gap up ORBs, opening range breakouts, like I had it on POTR, I had it on app to name a couple recently, the 5-minute ORB on those. So with Reddit, I did not target that one there, but then what I'm looking for is that tight bar around the 10-day EMA, being the pink line, magenta line here, or the 21-day EMA. So tight inside bar that also closes right on the high of the bar. Can you see that? Closes right on the high of the day, really, really close to the high of the day. Look how the volume is just drying up there as well. So the volume is below the average. So I like that. Inside bar, dry up in the volume tells me there's not that much selling, there's not that much supply. Then it's the Toby Crabell point. From periods of contraction come expansion. So I'm targeting the trade. In this instance here with Reddit, it was a buy stop limit order. I teach on my platform as well. So I'm targeting through the high, stop loss underneath the low, and then a real expansive move here very, very quickly for Reddit. And remember, this is in all-time high territory. Like when stocks get into all-time high territory, especially if they're relatively new IPOs, these things can fly really, really quickly, especially if they're backed up by the earnings, the sales, the after-tax margins. It's got a good 20-day ADR percentage. It's a momentum stock as well. It's got a lot of eyeballs on it, and it's acting really, really constructively. It's got an RS rating of 99 as well. So just to summarize this setup, it's about looking for ideally relatively new IPOs. Could be this year, could be in recent years, that have gapped up into all-time high territory is even better. 52-week high territory is good, all-time high territory even better, and then looking for positive price action, looking for the good earnings, the good sales, the acceleration in the after-tax margins, EPS estimates, all-time high. Forward guidance being raised as well, and then looking for those tight inside bars, preferably an inside bar around the 10-day EMA or the 21-day EMA. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed that video, learned something about looking for positive earnings reactions and then momentum-based swing trade setups that can form afterwards with inside bars around key daily moving averages. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for supporting the YouTube channel, and I will see you in a future video.